Live again. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've streamed live, which is my bad. I've had a lot on my plate. I've a lot of things to do, but it is something I am hoping to do more often. I am hoping to stream more often. That is something I want to do. Something I keep talking about doing, but yes, I am going to do it. And that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video. On a live stream, I always go off on a tangent every now and then because I do like to look at comments. I do like to respond to comments that people, post. But I do want to talk about some new equipment that I bought. I'm kind of ill prepared for that. I don't have all the tabs set up like I normally do, but there is some things I want to talk about in that regard. And just talk about really the changes that I'm making to my recording setup and what I'm hoping to do long term. And it kind of all, ties together, in the way that I'm trying to streamline everything, simplify everything. You've probably kind of read between the lines. If you subscribe to my channel, you've probably, seen me talking about various things like that recently, even just like my overhead camera, my Canon M50. They unfortunately can't be charged live. So this is, things like this I want to address over time. Hi, Luca. Hi, Luca. I know you're showcasing all your equipment and stuff, but do you even play games or things like that? Yes, I do, Luca. Yes, I do. It is... Well, I kind of hoped that I would have time to do that today, but what I'm going to do is wait a few days because my setup is going to be a lot better in a few days. I've got a lot of games I want to play in future streams. That is something I'm hoping to do. I will mainly be doing console games, guys. But I'm going to... in fact, I'll get this just now. I'll show you something else. Raspberry Pi. So this is something else which I'm going to stream from time to time. So there are a lot of things that I'm going to do some live streams from. I've got my PS3 there. I've got my Wii U there. I'm going to get a Switch. I've got my Raspberry Pi. I've got the Mini SNES. I've got the PS Classic to play from. I can stream games from the PC as well, but it's just a little bit easier to do things from a console as far as streaming goes. I generally prefer, playing older games anyway, generally, but we shall see. But are you still using the Blue Yeti mic? It's in the background there. Can you see it? It's kind of there. See it there? The black Blue Yeti I have. I don't really use the Blue Yeti if I'm honest, but I keep it around just because it is quite a handy mic to have. In hindsight, I should have bought the Pro version. I should have bought the Pro version. The Pro version would have been a lot more flexible because it's an XLR mic. But generally, when I'm doing live streams like this, I do kind of generally prefer dynamic mics because it means that when I push that away, it's not loud, and then when I bring it back, you can hear me again. When you're doing a live stream and you're doing a lot of typing or you're playing games and different things, a dynamic mic is just a little bit more practical. But I do keep that around, and I probably could upgrade it and get a better version, but I generally keep that around so that if there's like two people in a video, the Blue Yeti is a little bit better. It'll pick up more than I need two dynamic mics for that. If you have a PlayStation 4, you can play old Grand Theft Auto games. I do have a PlayStation 4. Yes, I do. I've got Grand Theft Auto 5 as well. I've brought up my PlayStation 4 here a few times. I generally don't bring it upstairs just because I use it downstairs a lot. I play games downstairs a lot, and I'm trying to get a setup whereas the consoles that are sitting here are pretty much here all the time. I might even buy like a shelf or something for my desk so that I can just reach over, turn on like all the different consoles and just try and get it set up a little bit better. It sounds like that I'm messing around a lot, but I know myself from experience as well. The easier I make my recording setup, the more I set it up so that I can click record, do a video and leave, the more productive I am. In the past as well, when you spend a lot of time setting things up and all that, you're not productive. Do you have a PC? Well, yeah, I have a PC. I'm streaming from a PC right now. I've got a couple of laptops as well. What about yourself, Luca? What do you have? Right. What I want to do, and a few more people turn up, hopefully. What I'd like to do is talk about my recording setup and just kind of talk about what my main limitations are and why I've bought a lot of equipment. And it kind of ties into what I've been talking about recently. As I was saying with the dummy battery thing, I've got a couple of cameras that can't be charged and they can't be used long term. So I might have to trade in a camera for that. Up here, which you guys can't see. You guys can't see, but can you see it? See there? I've got overhead camera now. Come down. As far as overhead camera goes, I love that camera, but it uses batteries. I need to use batteries with it, which isn't practical if you're doing a live stream. I'd like to do live streams where I can just keep, changing from it. So one option is to maybe change to the later version of that, like the upgraded version, which does support USB charging and things like that. I can buy a dummy battery, but apparently it still does go off after a few hours. So there's all these kind of technical limitations that I'm trying to work around. I'm trying to think how long I've had the PS4. I've had the PS4 for 3 years, 4 years. I can't even. Probably had it a year or two before the Pro version came out. So I don't think I got it initially, but I probably had it like a year or so before the Pro version came out. I think. Going back a while now. So what I'm going to talk about is the new equipment that I've been buying, but I kind of want to talk about what I'm trying to achieve and what I'm limited with right now. The setup that I've got right now, I'll close that down. The setup that I've got right now is limited by my equipment. It's limited by my PC. Now, if anyone there has did any kind of game streaming, you might have run into this problem yourself. Now, the problem is bandwidth. This is the problem. This is what I'm trying to fix. USB bandwidth. That is the biggest problem that I've got right now. Doesn't sound like a major problem if you're not doing recording, but USB bandwidth is one of the biggest problems for any game streamer because you've only got so much bandwidth that you can use. And the more you look into this, the more you realize the limitations of your motherboard. And when you fix one thing, it causes a problem with another thing. And when you fix that, it causes a problem with something else. What I've found is that I've kind of reached the bottleneck as far as USB goes, which is why I need to upgrade. But rather than upgrade my whole system, what I'm doing to try and get around this is install a Thunderbolt 3 PCI Express card. But that in itself starts a kind of domino effect with all these different changes that I need to make on my PC. I'm not sure if I'll be able to show that. Can I? I might be able to show that actually. Yes, I might be able to show that. And hopefully... Right, let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can do this. When I stream from my PS4, it gives me over 500 ping on just about any game. Look at, are you streaming directly from the PlayStation? Is that what you're doing? You're streaming directly from the PlayStation? I don't like streaming directly from the PlayStation. The main reason being that I can't attach this webcam and I can't attach other mics very easily. You can only use the official PlayStation camera. I do have the official PlayStation camera. I would love if I could connect any USB mic, but the official PlayStation camera is terrible. Even when I've put on lights and things like that, I just think it's absolutely awful. I just really don't like it. I have streamed before. I do like just streaming directly from the PlayStation 4. In fact, if I can maybe play around with the lights a little bit, I'll maybe do that more. Rather than this setup, I'll stream from my PS4 downstairs and I'll do it like that. You just show your game. You just show your face in your gameplay. Right, okay. Right, so you don't show your face, right? So what I was going to talk about, I'm kind of thrown off on a tangent there. The problem that I've got is bandwidth, USB bandwidth, and what happens is that essentially, if you've got a PC, and I've actually got quite a good PC, it's still worth a couple of £1,000. It's quite at the time, it was, a year and a half ago, it was like the most expensive one you could build. Not the most expensive, but pretty much, consumer level. Really good system, but what I've got a problem with is the number of USB root hubs that I've got. Now, this is not really talked about a lot when you're buying a laptop or buying a PC, but every motherboard has got a certain amount of, host controllers for USB. If you buy a general laptop and it says it's USB 3 compatible, so say that it's USB 3.0, even if it's got 1, 2, 3, or even 4 USB 3.0 ports, chances are there's only one USB host controller, one USB root hub, which means that the theoretical limit of 5 gigabytes per second, rather than having that on one port, you have that on 4 ports, which means that, say, for example, this webcam, which maybe needs about 2 or 3 gigabytes per second, if you put that into one port, it'll work. If you put another camera in, then all of a sudden, one camera works, one doesn't, because you've only got one host controller. That's kind of simplified look at it, but it pretty much is the problem that I've got with my recording setup. Because right now, I have got 3. I've got my overhead camera, I've got my webcam, and I've got my game capture card. So I've got my overhead camera right now going through my cam link. I've got gameplay going through that. And then I've got the webcam, but that's not all that I want. I've got a second webcam there. I've actually got another webcam over there. I'd like to set up a proper kind of camcorder there, or maybe above the monitor, but that means changing some other things, but something I want to think about, which basically means instead of having 3 recording devices, I want to have 4 or 5, possibly even 6, to give me a little bit more flexibility as to what I show when I'm recording videos, when I'm doing reviews and things like that. Because it means that if I can, streamline a lot of this stuff, keep it all connected at the same time, keep things charged at the same time, I can switch between a lot of different cameras. I can do different styles of videos all in the one stream. Maybe I'll do more live streams because of that. Now, we kind of run into a few limitations with something like that. You kind of run into a few limitations. One of the limitations that I've run into is that I've just ran out of USB ports. Now, I could add a PCI Express card. You can buy one that's got 4 ports for like £15. The problem is, as I was saying before, the USB controller, there's only one in that PCI Express card. So basically, despite it having 4 ports, I would only be able to add one camera. You can buy USB PCI Express expansion ports that have 2 and 4 host controllers. They are more expensive. Like there was one from StarTech, and I can buy that for like £80. That would give me 4 USB ports, and that is perfect. Now that solves most of my problems right now, but it doesn't kind of future-proof myself. It would maybe give me the 4 USB ports that I need just now, but down the line, then I'm running into problems as far as I can't really expand anymore. Whereas, if I buy a Thunderbolt 3 interface and I add Thunderbolt 3 to my PC, I can then add Thunderbolt 3 docks and other equipment. So basically, I'm spending more money just now to kind of future-proof myself and make things a little bit more flexible down the line. What's the worst thing you've bought, like camera, microphone, keyboard, and other things? I can't really think off the top of my head. I don't think I bought anything that's truly, truly bad, if I'm honest. But that is because I do a lot of research before I buy anything. Even just talking about the equipment I've bought, I'm going to talk about just now. I've spent a lot. I did a lot of research on that, already. Now, what I'm going to do, if I can, I want to try and illustrate what I'm talking about, right? So, let's see if I can get this. Okay, right. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to my browser, and this. Okay, so this is the USB expansion port I was looking at. This is one from StarTech, and this is a 4-port USB expansion port. Now, this is a very good one. You can see it's £80, and the key thing here is that this does actually add 4 USB ports. Each of these ports can deliver up to 5 gigabytes per second. Now, if you just buy this one, which is £36, this one has 5 gigabytes per second, but it is divided between all 4 ports. So essentially, this one allows you to do 5 gigabytes per second total. This one can do up to 20. Now, of course, all of this is theoretical. Whenever you're talking about USB, You never really get the speeds that you're wanting, you know, as far as file transfers and all that. But, you know, theoretically, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to... I'm losing the comments here. Bring them up here. Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do as far as solving the situation. So that is the problem. The problem is I have run out of USB ports. I can't add another camera. In fact, I've got 4 devices connected just now, but if I turn on one, it switches off one of the other ones. This is the problem that I've got. I've got things connected. I can't transfer the data because there's just too much information going through. I could fix it by adding this, but I'm not going to do that. The reason I'm not adding this is because it's kind of a short-term fix. What this does, short-term anyway, what it does is fix the problem, but long-term, I might be running into similar problems. But then what I've got is one less expansion port. So I'm kind of stuck where I am, if you know what I mean. You know, because it's taken up a PCI Express card. It actually has to be put in, I think that's an X4, I think. So my workaround is to buy a Thunderbolt 3 extension card. This is something I've thought about before. The previous version of this was called Alpine Ridge, but this is the newer version that came out late 2018. It's got 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. It's got a couple of it's got a display port, 2 mini display ports as well. Yeah, 2 mini display ports. I think it's 2 mini display ports. I think I'll double check. Oh, there it's here. Display port, 2 mini display ports as well, but it's got 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. And it's got a maximum of 40 gigabytes per second, which means that I can connect a Thunderbolt dock. Now, that gives me a lot more flexibility. CyberPower PC 1050 Ti. That's the PC I'm trying to save up for. If you could tell me if it's worth it, or if there's another one better around the same price. Okay, look, I'll talk about that at the end. I want to talk about this first to get through this. I'll definitely check that out at the end, and I'll check out any kind of PC stuff you want me to check out. So, the Thunderbolt dock that I've bought is this one. I've actually bought it already. I'll do a review of this maybe in a couple of days, I need to get the Thunderbolt 3 interface first. This is one of the most well regarded. It's got really good positive reviews about this. Now, again, to talk about root controllers, and what I'm going to do to demonstrate this, if I can do this, I want to show you this with the USB root controllers, right? So, okay, I'll bring this up. Right. See if I can bring this up. Hopefully it doesn't crash anything. I'm trying to load an application, but it's loading. That's never a good sign. Why is it doing that? Never did that before. See if I can show you. Yeah, that application is basically crashing. That's not good. Close the program. Yes, close the program. It blocks the whole... Right, see if I'll try it one more time. Hopefully this doesn't crash the stream. What I'm trying to do is show you an application. I might have to do this in a separate video because it doesn't seem to be playing nice. And basically this application shows you how many USB root hubs and how many host controllers you've got. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, it's not playing nice today, despite the fact it was fine earlier on. I don't know why. Okay, but for reference, the application is called USB Tree View. I'll talk about it in a separate video. But yeah, it shows that my motherboard, my system has got 3 USB root controllers. My laptop only has 1, which is pretty common. That's what most computers have. So yeah, when I have that into my computer, I can then connect this. And this has got 5 USB root controllers, 5 USB root hubs, which means I can add 5 webcams. That only takes up 25 gigabytes per second, but I've also got a Type-C connection, which has got 10, because it's 3.1 Gen 2. So yes, this gives me a lot of flexibility, and it only uses up 1 PCI Express card, and it gives me a lot of other features, SD card slot, USB slots. It gives me everything. It gives me everything I need. A lot more expensive. That was a few £100s for that. you know, this and the Thunderbolt 3 interface, I'm well over £300 rather than just buying the £80 adapter. But I was looking for something that was going to be a long-term solution rather than fixing something and then having to, you know, kind of patch it up later on and then replace that. But this did not solve all my problems. This did not solve all my problems. And if I... Okay, what do I need to show here? Right. So, the next problem that I've got... If I can get this up. I really should have prepared for this. Not that one. Okay. I'm trying to find a manual to show you guys. A detailed manual. Okay, so here's the next thing I want to show, right? Here is the next thing I want to show. And it is this. So, what will maybe do? Yay. So, what this is the inside of my PC right now. Now, what am I showing you? Well, if I jump over here, I can show you this manual. And this is my motherboard. So, what have we got here? Right, we've got a PCI Express X16, and you've got an X8, and you've got an X4. And in between, you've got X1, X1, and X1. So, in theory, you could connect 6 different things there, okay? In theory. Or possibly even more, because you could put one in one of the M2 slots, and you could add in another X1. But let's just assume you stick with what's there, and you've got 6 PCI Express cards. Now, what a lot of people forget is that there are limitations. You can't just put something in every Express card slot and expect everything to work fine. My graphics card is in the X16, and if I jump back here, you can see the graphics card that is in the X16. Now, what is probably maybe not apparent there is that this takes up a hell of a lot of room. It's covering the X1, the first X1, but it's also covering this second M2 slot here. So this is the memory slot, the M2 slot in the middle. This M2 slot. So above the X1, I've actually got my above the first X1, you've actually got my hard drive. I've got a 960 Evo one there. That's my operating system. But I've got nothing in this middle M2 slot. Now, the reason there's nothing in there is because, well, it's underneath the 1080 Ti. It's underneath the 1080 Ti, which means that it would be incredibly hot. The performance would be really, really bad. It's not good to put an NVMe card underneath your graphics card, which is why I have my my second hard drive, my 960 Evo here. That's why I have that down at the bottom. I've got it in this third one, N2P 32G, this one, okay? This one here, right? So that's kind of the layout I've got. I've got my 1080 Ti there right now, and I've got a hard drive up in the top M2 slot. I'm the first one. The middle one's empty because it's underneath the 1080 Ti, and in the last one, I've got another hard drive down at the bottom, right? Okay, all kind of straightforward. So this is the motherboard that I've got. It's quite a good motherboard. It was certainly one of the best ones for the 8700K when I looked at it. It looks all good, and yeah, it's a fantastic motherboard, but like any motherboard, again, you run into bandwidth issues. There are some limitations, and if you jump over to the specification page, you should be able to see some of them. Okay, so this is where some of the limitations come in. If you look at the expansion slot, if you're running an X16 and the X8 is empty, the X16 will run at full speed. If you put anything into the X8, then both the X8 and the X16 will run at X8 speeds. So essentially, you can half this potential speed of the X16. Now, that means that if I put anything into the X8 slot, my graphics card, the theoretical max will be halved. Now, the other thing to note is that the X4 slot here, the slot shares the same bandwidth as the M2P 32G connector. What that is referring to is this M2 slot here. See where the 960 Evo is? That's the slot it's referring to, which basically means that if I have this Thunderbolt 3 card, and I have already bought it, once it arrives, I will put it into this slot. but that needs an X4 slot to operate. And if that is placed in there and this NVMe SSD is still there, it means that the Thunderbolt port will run at half speed because it shares it with the X4 slot. So that is the limitation that I've got just now. So what that means is that I need to move it. I need to move that hard drive, and I need to put it either in the X8, or I need to put it in a SATA drive, a connection like that, or I need to do something else. This is the dilemma that I was placed in. And it's something that a lot of PC owners will probably face at one point or another. In that, you know, you've got your cards that you want to add to your computer. You've got a list of the cards that you want to add. The problem being that if you put the hard drive in any other position, then you're going to run into problems. So here's the problem that I've got. I've got my 960 Evo. I do use that hard drive for files, for recording, for a lot of different things. It's not my operating system, but I do use it a lot. I have to take it out of that third M2 slot, that third SSD slot, because if I don't, the Thunderbolt extension, the PCI Express card will not work. So I've got a few options. My first one I thought was, well, why don't I just connect it to SATA and, you know, take a hit? But there aren't many NVMe SATA connections out there, and the ones that are, they are greatly affect performance, as in your hard drive speed will go down. I could put it under the 1080 Ti. No, I couldn't really. It'd be too slow to go down into the 1080 Ti. So what I'm going to have is the Thunderbolt port in the X4, but in the X8 I have bought this. And what this is an NVMe adapter. It's also got 2 spaces for M2 SATA drives. So not NVMe, but an M2 SSD. And essentially what I'm going to have is, if I jump back to the manual, essentially what I'm going to have is my operating system at the top, but then I've got the 1080 Ti. In the X8 slot, I will have this StarTech adapter kit, which will have my hard drive. And then down at the X4, I will have my Thunderbolt 3 port. Now, what this means is that this here will have my 960 Evo. This 960 Evo will be placed in this, and this will be placed in the X8. What that means is, when that's placed in the X8 slot, I will get the full speeds. There won't be any, my speeds won't be dropping from a few thousand, megabytes per second, whatever it was, to like 500. The speeds will be the same, but the problem is that my graphics card will be not running at X16 now. My graphics card will now run at X8. But the good news about that is that if you look at speeds of 1080 Ti's in an X8 compared to an X16, you're not really losing a lot of performance. So all this is going to allow me to do is, that is going to keep my graphics card. That's going to allow me to keep my graphics card running in my system in the X8 slot. The Thunderbolt extension port will allow me to connect Thunderbolt docks, multiple Thunderbolt docks or monitors and different things. And then once that's done, then I can connect another 5, if I wanted to, cameras, recording equipment, and different things. So I'll talk about this more in the future. You'll see me doing a few unboxings about these kind of things over the next month. I'm going to show you me installing things. Luca, I'm leaving the stream now, just so you know, so don't talk about any things I said, because I won't even be here to see them. Alright, well, sorry, here you go, Luca. Feel free to join in the stream next time. If you want me to talk about any of those things, I can answer you next time. So yeah, that is what I'm doing with my recording setup. It's total, as far as I've bought another game capture card. I've bought what else have I bought? I bought the dock, I bought that interface, I bought this. I've spent about £500-600 already just on this. I've also bought a Bluetooth PCI Express card. That's something else which is going to hopefully get snuck in there. I'm hoping that gets added. If it doesn't, it needs to get returned. I need to buy a USB version. But I'm going to, I've bought a Bluetooth adapter as well, which I'm going to show you that picture again, should hopefully, there is a little X1 slot next to the 1080 Ti, which you can't really see there. But I'm hoping that allows me to squeeze it in next to the 1080 Ti. I'm hoping. Is there room for that? I don't know. I'll hopefully figure that out somehow. I'm hoping there's room for that. If there's not, I'll need to kind of work out something else. But that will allow me to get rid of wires. I've got a wired keyboard right now. I've got a wired mouse. I don't have Bluetooth right now on my PC, so that is going to allow me to do that. I might run into some problems with drivers and different things when I do all this, but it's one of those things. It's amazing though. When I looked into this issue, I didn't realise how many kind of walls I would face as far as, well, I could do this, but then if I do that, I lose that speed. Or if I put it in that slot, then I'll lose that speed. And if I put it into that, then that card won't work, and then that card won't work. I ended up finding out the only way this whole thing will actually work, and it's just one of those things. You have to kind of go wherever you need to go. And it does mean spending a lot of money on equipment, but I didn't want to go out and just buy another motherboard and, go through a whole new PC case and all that kind of thing. That would have been a lot more money, and the Thunderbolt dock is something that I can continue to use in the future as well. Right, so PC slots. I'm actually curious about that now. Do I have enough slots for that? I should have enough slots for that, the PC, for the Bluetooth adapter. I should have enough slots to fit that in somewhere. I'll need to double check that now. I'm second guessing myself now. I'm second guessing myself whether I've got enough space for that Bluetooth adapter. I can't even show you. Because I don't have this. This is the irony is, if I had an extra camera, I could have showed you. So yes, for anyone who's watching this later on, I did consider just doing this as a video, but I wanted to kind of go through and explain it all live because I knew there was a lot to go through. So basically what all this equipment is, everything that I've bought here, it really is just about improving my setup and giving me more flexibility. I really was at the point where I couldn't add any more devices. And I'm talking about even kind of small USB devices, even things that don't take up a lot of bandwidth. I really was at the point where I couldn't add much equipment to my recording setup. There wasn't a lot I could do with it. So hopefully when this Thunderbolt port is in, I've added the dock. This is going to unlock a lot of bandwidth that I couldn't use before. I'm hoping there's no other limitations or any walls that I hit. Hopefully not. But fingers crossed, what this means is that moving forward, once all of this has been installed, moving forward, I'll have a setup where I can add an additional camera or 2 or 5 up to if I wanted to. And if I run into any problems with the Bluetooth or with anything else, I'll just have to kind of shake things around. The Thunderbolt card is the primary card I need to add to the system. As far as the hard drive goes, there are other things I can do as far as getting an NVMe enclosure and running it through the Thunderbolt dock. That is an option. It is something I could do, but then that limits the bandwidth going through the Thunderbolt port. And the Bluetooth adapter, it is something I could do through USB. Or if it came to it, then fine, I don't use USB. I can use the USB unifying receiver for my keyboard. So there's kind of things around that, kind of workarounds that I can do if for one reason or another one of the cards doesn't fit in or there's not enough room in the PC. And that is one of the things about PC building as well, is that on paper, a lot of this equipment, your graphics cards, your expansion cards and all that, all these things look like they work well, but then you go to your PC and the card's a little bit too big. It's a little bit bigger than it should be. That card doesn't fit in the way it should be, and then all of a sudden you need to try and make adjustments. I'll see how things go. But apologies to Luca. I know that you were asking some questions there. Normally I do sit and answer some questions, but today I really did want to kind of talk about my recording setup and talk to people and explain the equipment that I've bought. If he ever turns up again, I will apologize and talk more directly. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this. So I'm going to be doing a lot of videos about this kind of equipment over the next week or so, bringing my PC out and just showing you guys fixing up my PC. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Those who tuned in, Luca's the only one that commented, but thanks for watching. I will do some videos where I show all this equipment being built into my PC. And hopefully what this means is down the line, I can then start adding multiple cameras, better cameras, higher quality cameras with more bandwidth to my PC streaming setup. And ideally, I want to do at least, a couple of streams a week. I do like this format. I know right now it's, quite late at night. It wasn't the best time to do it, but I have been very busy. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this later, I do appreciate sitting through and watching this. If there's any part of this that I talked about and you're running into your own problems or your own recording problems, as far as, you can't add any more Elgatos, you can't add any more webcams to your streaming setup, anything like that, leave a comment. I'm not an expert on this subject, but it is something I've been tackling recently. It is something I've been looking into. So maybe if I can't answer it, maybe I can point you in the right direction. But thanks for watching, guys. I will do more live streams soon. Once I've got all this equipment set up, I'm going to be focusing on this equipment in the next few days. I want to get it all sorted, fixed, improve the setup, and then I can move on from there. But thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, take care.